Hello, Glamour Ghouls, and welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Midge Munster, and on this channel we do all things campy, kooky, glamorous, and spooky. Happy New Year! Yes, I know it is corny and silly and cheesy to say that this late into January, but this is my first video back, and I am so excited to finally be here. If you've been keeping up a little bit on Instagram, I won't go into the full depth here, but we had one hell of a late December into mid-January. My husband had a detached retina, which if you've never been privy to what that is like, I will let you do your own research about what that looks like and what the process and recovery is like, but do so at your own risk because new fear unlocked. But that was wild and was very scary and took up the better part of 3 weeks. And I've had house guests staying with me up through yesterday. So it's just been a little nuts over here. Not to even mention all the everything that is happening in the world. But I wanted to get this video out before the end of January because, as you've seen by the title, this is a very top of the year topic. If you spend a lot of time on YouTube, you've probably seen trend prediction videos come out every year in January. People predicting what they think the biggest trends of this coming year will be. I tend to enjoy these videos, even as a person who does not really follow trends. I would say at this point in my life, my personal style is so niched down and I know what I like and what I don't like. And so it's very rare for me to get pulled into the flow of the trend cycle, especially now too with the micro trend cycles that TikTok brought about. And if you're a person who is in a subculture or dresses alternatively, trends are kind of inherently outside of the realm of what you're doing anyway. However, I do find them, let's say, anthropologically interesting. I love seeing how things seep into the greater consciousness, how those things affect what we buy, what we consume, both in style, in media. And if you remember in October when we did my Michael's makeover of the Halloween line, that video was brought on because of predictions I had made 2 years ago. And because I'm a person who finds this thread of human consciousness very fascinating, I'm actually a pretty talented trend forecaster. And while I think we as a culture are starting to turn away from trend culture due to irresponsible mass consumerism that's destroying our planet, I do still think this collective consciousness is very interesting, and I love talking about it, and I like to unpack how we can see these things, appreciate them for what they are, and then take the bits and pieces that do resonate with you and incorporate them in a personal way that makes sense for your style. So I want to talk a little bit about what I think we might start to see this year, as well as talk about ways that you can participate in these things without buying a new wardrobe every year or buying new Halloween decor every year, whatever that might look like for you. And the other main reason I want to talk about this right now, this year, is because over the last couple of years, the spooky vibes have risen to the top of the collective consciousness. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot more mainstream things that are spooky. We've seen a lot more Halloween and things the last couple of years, but even the mainstream trends are starting to air into spaces that are interesting to people like us. And so I want to talk about it and see how we can navigate that together. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Victorian revival. It's here, it's now, and it's going to continue to get more and more prevalent, I think, as we move into this year. It started really soft. We had kind of the big moment for Selkie, the kind of Regency era vibes were really taking over. We saw a big rise last year in Little Women aesthetic. I feel like everybody was doing Little Women Christmas this year. But now, a hot new bombshell has entered the villa. I believe that the arrival of Nosferatu has changed everything. We are going to be seeing dark Victorian vibes this year, for sure. Both in our Halloween decor this fall, but also in day-to-day fashion, and I think that starts right now. Of course, a lot of our spooky small businesses have been giving us delicious options for Victorian day wear. Just to throw out a few, Lively Ghosts, Blackwood's Castle, La Femme Noire, they've been giving this to us already. However, I think we're gonna start seeing it at like the store, TM. I am highly anticipating seeing some sort of Cabinet of Curiosities collection for Halloween this year. I thought it would be Miss Joanne, but it's not looking good for her right now. So it might end up being Michael's, I don't know, but I think we're going to see an oddities and curiosities vibe. Pinned bugs, faux taxidermy, I think is gonna get really big in just like home decor in general. I also just think birds are gonna get really big. I can't tell you what I mean by that, but birds, believe me. You remember how like in 2012, it was just owls everywhere? I feel like we're entering a phase with that, but it's gonna be like weird birds, like vultures. Ravens have already been having a moment, but I think it's gonna be like even more ravens, even like peacocks, like just birds. And still kind of in this same vein, I think we're just going to see a lot of influence from the natural world. It makes sense, right? Like we're having a counter movement to extreme indoors. Like so much social media. We came out of a pandemic where everybody was locked inside. I think we're just gonna see an influence of Earth. So in that kind of vein of exotic creatures and nature, I think aquatic influence is headed our way. We started to see this with Lowe's last year. It was a wild card. They had that like ship captain and the sea diver and the Kraken groundbreaker thing. And we were all like, what is this? But it was interesting. It was different. And I loved to see it. It had a little flair for the Scooby-Doo. But I think we're going to continue to see that in Halloween decor. And I think we're going to see kind of a dark aquatic influence maybe in media as well. Pardon the pun, but I think there's an undercurrent of that already happening. And I think it's going to really like come up in the next year or so. Rewinding to the importance of Nosferatu. I've been saying it for a couple years now. I think vampires are coming back in a big way. Now I can hear a lot of you saying, Midge, vampires never left. So true. But there's been a surprising lack of vampire items, especially like where Halloween was concerned. And I think we're really going to see a vampiric fashion influence. I think that the color of the next year or so is going to be a deep blood red, just tones of red in general, cherry, oxblood, especially in alternative fashion design. I think we're going to see a move from our classic black into tones of deep red. The other things I think are going to be really big in alternative fashion this year are clowncore. I think we're going to be seeing a surge of like harlequin print and like almost clown suits. And this has been happening for a little while, like on the very base line of subculture. There was a line, I believe that Lively Ghost put out that was kind of a clowncore line. Honestly, the first person to really get me kind of turned on to this was my friend Cheyenne, which if you don't follow her, she's a cosplayer and has just incredible day-to-day style as well. And she's getting ready to take YouTube by storm this year, I'm telling you right now. So go check her out and follow her because she's fantastic. But she has always kind of had this affinity for clowncore vibes in her day-to-day dress, and that's not something I ever really considered, I guess, even as an option. And when I started watching how she incorporates it so effortlessly into her style, I just fell in love with how like fun and silly and playful it is. And I've noticed a lot of other people talking about this as well. So I think this is something that's kind of out there that people are engaging with. And I'm excited to see how that shows up. I would love to see some like fashionable clown hats or like collars that are more wearable day to day. I think that would be super fun and goofy. The other big thing I've been noticing for a while in spaces like TikTok, RIP, is a real revival of the New Romantic style. I follow a couple creators who have just the coolest vintage New Romantics, like goth vibes, and I do not believe that I could personally pull off that style, but gosh dang it, they look so cool. Someone in particular that I've really been enjoying their content is Mallory Hearts You. I really love the way that they style things. I think it's so visually interesting and expressive. And if you're not familiar with the New Romantics movement, it was extremely expressive. Think David Bowie or Boy George. And it kind of laid a lot of the early framework for what would become the goth movement in the 80s. And because these subcultures like the New Romantics or punk or goth, yes, they have a strong visual aesthetic, but more importantly, these were countercultures and forms of protest from what was happening in the world at the time. And I think with what we're seeing in the world right now, we're going to be seeing a return to a lot of these styles. What's very exciting to me about this idea in particular is that these styles are inherently DIY. They are vintage. They are making your own stuff from nothing. They are pulling away from capitalism. And so I think it will be very exciting to see kind of a larger shift towards that moving forward, because it also means that everyone can participate. And of course, there are core values and music and things that align with presenting in these ways. It's not just a trend, but I think that it will get more people interested and excited about learning about these things. And so I'm interested to see where that takes us. And so piggybacking off of that, the last thing I want to talk about as a trend is kind of an anti-trend. It was really funny. I was already kind of trying to find ways to put together this video when another channel that I love, Kathleen Illustrated, posted a video about Are Trends Dead? And it's a really good video. You should definitely go check it out. But she talks a lot in it about our style autonomy. And I think she really hits the nail on the head of this idea that people are wanting to take back the control of their style and the things that they use to express themselves. And especially if we are looking at a resurgence of goth and punk on a larger scale, I think we're going to see a lot more DIY fashion. And honestly, not even just in those spaces. I can't even tell you the number of my friends that have picked up like knitting or crocheting. People are learning to sew their own clothes. I think this is a pattern that's going to continue into the next several years, especially in the wake of the like Shein, Temu, whatever apocalypse. I've noticed a lot of my friends being more cognizant of how they are buying things or if they even need to buy something. And this is something I've been working on myself the last couple of years. I feel like my pipeline has become, can I make it? No. Can I thrift it? No. Can I buy it from a small business? No. And only then, if I get to this level and I'm like, do I still need it? Only then will I look at buying from like a large corporation. And I surely don't think I am the only person evaluating these things. I'm seeing it all over. Something I loved seeing, Barnes & Noble released that book lover tote for their Valentine's line, which was super cute. And the second I saw it, I was like, oh, that's going to be the item, you know, that's going to be the thing. It's going to be the Cracker Barrel ghost of Valentine's Day. But it ended up being that more of what I saw was all these people making their own. I love to see that. And people were customizing it. I saw goth girlies making black versions of it. Yes. Yes. So I'm very excited by this. And if this is going to be the trend, amazing. It's good for the planet. It's good for your wallet. It's good for you to learn a new skill or try something different. And that is what I hope you take away from this video. As always, I'm interested to see if any of these things end up becoming actual things down the line. But more than that, I hope this video inspires you as we start a new year to engage with trend culture in a new way, to take a step back, see what's out there, see what resonates with you, leave what doesn't, because at the end of the day, fashion and home decor and all of these things are all about self-expression, and there is no wrong way to express yourself. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you are, let's be honest at this point, surviving January. This month feels like it has been going on for 5 years. But I am excited to be back here and to be hanging out with all of you. And if you enjoyed hanging out with me today, I would love if you'd consider subscribing to the channel before you leave. I am particularly excited about some Valentine's content coming up. Y'all know Valentine's Day is my other favorite holiday, and I really enjoy getting to do content for that. So I'm excited to bring you some of that in the coming weeks. As far as what to expect from me this year, my content is in a space of evolution. It's going to continue to be spooky and crafty as it always has been. I want to start featuring some more of my thrifting adventures. I'm really back into my thrifting bullshit, so I think we're going to be doing some more of that type of stuff. Lots of like home improvement things coming this year, which will be a lot of fun and a lot of big projects to document. So fingers crossed that all goes well on that front. But if you like vintage, if you like thrifting, if you like DIY, if you like spooky stuff, this is the place to be. So stick around and I will see you all again very soon. Until next time, keep it campy, kooky, glamorous, and spooky. Bye!